What if I told you that right now, as America's future is being rewritten by tech, I've just pulled the curtain back and made 3 bold investments. Consider this: you're either riding this wave or being left behind in the dust of history. Today, you're on the inside. What I'm about to tell you could completely shift the way you see the next decade of investing. America's future isn't being shaped 5 years from now. It's being shaped right now, this second, in boardrooms, in labs, and on trading floors where billions are moving silently. And here's the truth: I've just taken a massive step with my own money, putting it into 3 companies that I believe will form the backbone of America's future. These aren't hype plays. They're not the names you see plastered all over social media. They're the companies that will be standing when the dust settles. The question is simple: do you own any of them? Look, every generation gets a window, a moment where technology breaks open new doors. The railroads, oil, the internet. Each era had its defining moment. Right now, that window is open again, and it's tech that's driving it. Not just the surface level apps you scroll through every day, but the deep infrastructure, the innovations that most people ignore because they sound too complicated or too far away. That's where the real wealth is being built. When I dug into the data, spoke with insiders, and followed the capital flow, 3 companies stood out, not as the trend of the moment, but as the foundation for what's next. The first area is artificial intelligence infrastructure. People hear AI and think of chatbots or apps. That's surface level. What I'm talking about is the hardware, the cloud pipelines, the computing power that makes AI even possible. Without it, the entire revolution collapses. And while most people are chasing the obvious names, I've gone one layer deeper, into the firms supplying the guts of the system. Think about it. Every new breakthrough in AI needs servers, chips, and massive energy to run. Whoever dominates that supply chain will dominate the decade. That's why my fund is already there. The second area is bio, interfaces, and next-gen healthcare tech. Let me be clear: America's population is aging, and healthcare is about to hit a breaking point. The companies I've moved into aren't just treating illness. They're fusing biology with technology to extend life, enhance human ability, and create solutions once thought impossible. Imagine wearables that don't just track your heart rate, but predict medical conditions before they even happen. Imagine devices that restore sight or mobility. This isn't science fiction. It's happening right now, and the companies leading it are trading publicly, under the radar, waiting for people like you to notice. And the third play is robotics and automation. The next wave of economic growth in America won't be driven by cheap labor. It'll be driven by intelligent machines, factories that run themselves, warehouses that don't sleep, robotics that adapt and learn in real time. Productivity is the single biggest driver of wealth, and we're about to see productivity explode thanks to this sector. These are companies that may not be household names yet, but mark my words, they will be. That's why I've taken position early. Now, why should you even listen to this? Because I started with nothing. No insider family connections, no silver spoon, no hedge fund pedigree handed down. What I had was obsession. Nights spent poring over earnings reports, cross-referencing capital flows, chasing down clues that others dismissed. That's how I went from zero to here. And that same hunger is what led me to these 3 stocks. I don't make moves lightly. When I deploy capital, it's because I see not just the next quarter, but the next decade. So here's the bottom line. These 3 companies aren't just stocks, they're signals. They're proof that America's future isn't going to be decided in headlines or politics. It's going to be decided by the innovators building the invisible backbone of tomorrow's economy. You don't need to own every stock. You just need to own the right ones. Ask yourself, do you want to watch from the sidelines as others take control of this future? Or do you want to position yourself now while the door is still open? This isn't about luck. It's about foresight. It's about conviction. It's about being willing to step forward when others hesitate. Because here's the truth. 10 years from now, people will look back at this moment and realize it was obvious. The signs were everywhere. The companies were right there, waiting. The only difference will be between those who acted and those who froze. I've made my move. I've put my money into the future. The question is, are you bold enough to do the same? Because America's future is unfolding whether you're ready or not. The choice is yours. Watch history, or own a piece of it. What I'm about to say is urgent, because by the time most people wake up to this reality, the opportunity will already be gone. Right now, as we sit here, America's future is being rewritten, not in the distant future, not in some science fiction fantasy, but in real time. Billions of dollars are moving through markets, while the majority of people are distracted, scrolling, and asleep to what's actually happening. I can't make this any clearer. I've just taken 3 positions, and they aren't just random stock picks. They're plays on the foundation of America's next chapter. If you aren't paying attention, you risk being on the outside looking in. This isn't theory. This isn't speculation. It's happening now. Companies are building the backbone of tomorrow's economy as we speak. When I move money into a sector, it's because I see the tide shifting beneath the surface. Most investors chase the headlines. They buy what everyone else is talking about after the price has already exploded. But that's not how you build wealth. You build wealth by spotting the wave before it crests, by stepping in when no one else has the courage to. That's why this moment matters. Let me break this down. The first arena where America's future is unfolding is artificial intelligence infrastructure. Everyone talks about AI like it's magic, but here's the truth. AI is useless without the massive computing power that fuels it. Servers, chips, energy pipelines, and data centers. This is the infrastructure race, and it's happening faster than anyone thought. Demand is doubling, tripling, and the world simply isn't ready to supply it. The companies I'm betting on are the ones quietly positioning themselves to control that supply chain. While the crowd is distracted by apps and flashy products, these firms are building the engines that make it all possible. Miss this, and you're missing the foundation of the entire AI revolution. The second space I've gone into is where biology meets technology. Think about the urgency here. Healthcare is breaking under its own weight. An aging population, skyrocketing costs, and systems that can't keep up. But there are companies, public companies, that are solving this right now with interfaces, wearable devices, and technologies that don't just treat illness but predict and prevent it. We're moving toward a future where your body and technology are seamlessly connected, where we don't just add years to life, but life to years. This isn't some far-off vision. It's happening in labs, clinics, and markets today. If you want to see where wealth and impact collide, this is it. And then there's robotics and automation. Let's be real. America's competitiveness will not come from cheap labor. It will come from intelligent machines that multiply productivity tenfold. Warehouses that never sleep, factories that adapt on the fly, robots that can learn as they work. That revolution is already underway. I've seen the numbers, I've seen the adoption curve, and it's accelerating. The companies that get this right aren't just going to win. They're going to redefine industries, and when productivity explodes, so does wealth creation. That's why I've taken a position early. Now, I want to pause here and make something clear. I didn't get here by following the herd. I started at zero. No handouts, no insider connections, no roadmap. What I had was obsession. Late nights poring over earnings reports, analyzing trends, referencing the flow of capital. That's how I built conviction, and that's how I earned the right to call these moves today. When I say I'm putting my money into these sectors, it's because I've done the work, and I see the future unfolding right in front of us. But here's where urgency comes in. You don't have time to sit on the sidelines. Every single day, the window gets narrower. Institutions are moving in, funds are building positions, and the longer you wait, the higher the price you'll pay to get in. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because it's reality. The market doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards foresight and action. 10 years from now, people will look back at this exact moment and shake their heads. They'll say it was obvious, that the signs were everywhere, that anyone could have seen it. But the truth is, most won't act. They'll wait until the headlines catch up, until the prices are sky high, until the easy money is already gone. Don't be that person. This is your fork in the road. Right now, in real time, America's future is being priced into the market. Some will own it, most will miss it. I've made my move. I've taken my stake in the future. The only question left is this: are you bold enough to take yours? Because history doesn't wait, opportunity doesn't wait, and the future doesn't wait. It's already here. The time to act is now. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory, it's not hype, it's the reality of where America's future is headed. Right now, markets are shifting in real time, and I've just placed capital into 3 companies that most people aren't even paying attention to. These aren't the names plastered across every headline. These are the hidden players, the ones quietly building the foundation of what's coming. And if you miss this moment, you'll look back and realize the window was wide open, and you just didn't step through. Here's the truth: wealth isn't created by following the crowd, it's created by spotting the future before the masses can even process it. Every generational shift has its winners: the railroads, the oil barons, the internet pioneers. Right now, we're standing at the edge of another seismic transformation, and it's being driven by technology. But I'm not talking about the flashy consumer apps or the trendy gadgets. I'm talking about the deep sectors, the industries that feel invisible until they suddenly own the future. The first one is artificial intelligence infrastructure. Everyone hears AI and thinks of apps or digital assistants. That's surface level. The real opportunity is in the backbone, the companies building the hardware, the chips, the massive data centers, the energy pipelines that make AI possible. Without these players, AI doesn't run. That's why I've stepped in here. While everyone else is chasing the obvious names, I'm positioning in the firms supplying the fuel for the entire revolution. You can tease the future all you want, but it's these companies that make it real. And trust me, the moment Wall Street realizes how critical they are, it'll be too late to get in cheap. The second sector I've moved into is where biology and technology converge. Healthcare is broken, costs are rising, systems are stretched, and yet innovation is exploding beneath the surface. We're talking about companies creating interfaces that merge the human body with technology, devices that don't just monitor health, but predict conditions before they strike, treatments that restore abilities we thought were lost forever. You can laugh at it now, but in 10 years, you'll see this sector defining America's economy. These are companies solving problems so massive that ignoring them is like ignoring electricity in the 1900s. They're not making noise, they're quietly rewriting the playbook for human health. And then there's robotics and automation. Let me put it bluntly, America's next leap in productivity isn't going to come from more hours or cheaper labor. It's going to come from machines that can think, adapt, and never stop. Warehouses that operate 24/7 without fatigue. Factories that optimize in real time. Intelligent robots that don't just follow commands, but learn and improve with every task. This isn't tomorrow, it's already happening. The adoption curve is accelerating, and the companies I've positioned in are the ones that will become household names a decade from now. Right now, most investors don't see it because they're distracted by the noise. But I see the signal, and that's where I've placed my bets. Now you might be asking, why am I so certain? It's simple. I started with nothing, zero. I wasn't born with insider access. I didn't inherit a hedge fund, and I didn't have a secret playbook handed to me. What I had was hunger, late nights, endless research, chasing the truth in places most people ignored. That obsession is what gave me the ability to spot these moves before the crowd, and when I see a pattern, I act. That's the difference. Most people hesitate until it's too late. Here's the reality. You don't have years to think about this. The future is being priced into the market right now. The big institutions are already sniffing around these sectors. The funds are building positions quietly because they know once the mainstream catches on, the runway is gone. If you wait for the headlines, you've already lost. In 10 years, people will look back at this exact moment and say it was obvious. They'll say the clues were everywhere, but most won't act. They'll sit back, watch the prices climb, and wonder why they're always late to the game. That's the difference between those who watch history and those who make it. I've already made my move. I've stepped into AI infrastructure, bio, interfaces, and robotics, three pillars that I believe will define America's future. I'm not here to convince you with hype. I'm here to show you where the smart money is heading. The question is, are you ready to see it, or will you wait until it's too late? Because the future isn't waiting, it's here, it's unfolding in real time, and only those who act now will own a piece of it. I didn't start with a silver spoon. I didn't have connections on Wall Street. I wasn't born into a network of insiders, and no one handed me a blueprint for success. I started at zero, broke, hungry, and obsessed with figuring out how the system really works. The journey from nothing to where I am now wasn't easy, but it taught me something invaluable. Success in investing, in business, in life, doesn't come from privilege. It comes from relentless curiosity, unshakable conviction, and the willingness to see opportunity when everyone else is blind to it. Back when I first got started, I was the guy who stayed up all night just to dig through company filings no one cared about. I was the one watching earnings calls at 2 in the morning, trying to piece together where the money was really moving. My friends were out having fun, and I was at home studying charts, crunching data, and trying to understand the language of markets. Why? Because I knew if I could master that language, I could change my future. I could rewrite my story. That's what kept me going. The early days were brutal. I made mistakes. I lost trades. I doubted myself. But every single failure was fuel. Every setback was a lesson I could bank for the future. And eventually, those lessons started to compound. I began spotting patterns. I realized that markets aren't random. They're driven by cycles, by psychology, by capital flows that most people never see. I realized that if you can see what's coming before the herd, you can position yourself to win big when the tide turns. That was my breakthrough. From there, I started building my own system. I didn't rely on hype. I didn't rely on luck. And I didn't blindly follow what the mainstream was saying. I built conviction through research and through experience. And over time, I started making calls that most people thought were crazy. Until they weren't. That's the thing about conviction. It feels lonely at first. Everyone tells you you're wrong, until suddenly, you're the one who saw it before they did. Fast forward to now, and I'm still that same person. Still obsessed, still relentless. The difference is, I've earned the right to trust my instincts. I've gone from having nothing to being able to put real capital to work, to make moves that matter. When I say I've just bought into 3 companies, it's not because I want to sound impressive. It's because I've done the work. I've spent the hours, the days, the years to know when it's time to act. And right now, I see America's future unfolding in front of us, in sectors most people barely understand. Here's what my journey taught me. Success isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most prepared. It's about being willing to look deeper, to do the work others won't do, and to act when others hesitate. That's how I've been able to go from zero to here. That's why I'm not afraid to make bold moves when I see the writing on the wall. Because I've lived through the grind. I know what it feels like to have nothing, and I know what it takes to climb out of that hole. Now, when I look at the markets, I don't just see numbers on a screen. I see opportunity. I see the next chapter of innovation being written in real time, and I see a chance for those who are paying attention to completely transform their future. I've made my move because I know what it feels like to miss opportunities. I've been on both sides. And if my journey proves anything, it's that starting from zero doesn't disqualify you. It can actually be your greatest strength. Because when you start with nothing, you learn to fight harder, you learn to think sharper, and you learn to move faster. That's the spirit I carry into every decision. That's why I put my capital where my conviction is, and that's why I'm telling you this now. My story isn't about luck, it's about persistence. It's about taking the long nights, the doubts, the failures, and turning them into the foundation of something bigger. If I can go from zero to here, so can you, but only if you're willing to act when the window is open. Only if you're willing to believe in the future before it's obvious to everyone else. I've already stepped into it. The only question left is whether you will. What I'm about to tell you isn't just information. It's a warning and an invitation. Right now, in this very moment, America's future is being priced into the market. The next wave of wealth is already in motion. The institutions have started building their positions. The insiders know where the money is flowing. And yet, most people are still distracted, still asleep, still waiting for a headline to give them permission to act. By the time they realize what happened, it will be too late. That's why this moment matters. I've put my capital into 3 companies, and I didn't do it for show. I did it because these companies sit at the center of everything that's coming. They are the invisible engines of America's future. You can't see them on magazine covers. You won't hear about them in casual conversations at dinner parties, but they're there, building, scaling, preparing to dominate the next decade. And when the rest of the world finally catches on, the window to get in at the ground floor will be gone. Let me be crystal clear, the sectors I've chosen aren't random, they're the pillars of the future, artificial intelligence infrastructure, the backbone of the entire AI revolution, interfaces that fuse human biology with technology and unlock solutions we once thought were impossible. Robotics and automation, the force that will multiply productivity and reshape the American economy from the inside out. These are not tomorrow's ideas. These are today's realities. They are already here, already scaling, already writing the script of what's next. When I place a bet, it's not on noise, it's on signal, and the signal right now is flashing red, hot. The market is telling us where the future is moving. The capital is flowing into the same channels I've been tracking for years. Most people can't see it yet because they're focused on the surface. But I've been doing this long enough to know that the surface is a distraction. The real wealth is built underneath, where the foundations are being laid. I know what it feels like to hesitate. I know what it feels like to question whether it's the right time, to wonder if you're ready. I've been there. Early in my journey, I let opportunities slip through my fingers because I didn't trust myself, because I was waiting for perfect clarity. And every single time, I regretted it. Every time I saw the charts later, I realized the moment had passed, and I had to watch others reap the rewards. That pain taught me something. You don't get perfect clarity. You get conviction, you get research, you get preparation, and then you either act or you don't. That's why I don't hesitate anymore. When I see the future unfolding, I move. That's what separates those who lead from those who follow. Leaders act when the picture is still blurry. Followers wait until the picture is crystal clear. And by then, the upside is gone. Right now, you're standing at the same fork in the road I faced years ago. You can either stay comfortable, do nothing, and watch history pass you by, or you can step into the unknown and take your claim in the future. Nobody is going to hand it to you. Nobody is going to knock on your door and say, "Hey, here's the chance of a lifetime." That's not how it works. The future rewards those who see it early and move on it with conviction. This isn't about gambling. This isn't about hype. This is about positioning yourself where America is heading, not where it's been. You have the chance right now to step into sectors that will define the next decade. You have the chance to own a piece of history before it becomes history. So here's my call to you. Stop hesitating. Stop waiting for the perfect sign. The sign is already here. The opportunity is already in front of you. The only question is whether you'll act. Because 10 years from now, when people look back, they'll say it was obvious. They'll say the signs were everywhere, and you'll either be the one nodding, knowing you made your move when it mattered, or the one wishing you had. The future isn't going to wait for you. It's already moving. It's already unfolding. and the door won't stay open forever. Step into it now. Own it now. This is your moment. Don't let it slip away. America's next chapter is being written in code, algorithms, and quantum pulses. Will you read it or write it if you're not already positioned? Today's your chance to step into that role. Stay bold, stay hungry, and above all, own your future.